Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hello,
to
hello.
Unleash Your Inner Badass, episode number 7. How exciting! This is the place where we talk about things that majority of entrepreneurs are not willing or not know that this information is needed in our world. So today we decided to talk about self-confidence and how it can affect your life and everything. Basically, everything affects everything.
Mhm.
And we noticed that many people struggle with self-confidence. They feel like they don't have the skills or the experience, or they don't fit in. Imposter syndrome also kicks in, and it's just everything feels like I'm not good enough. This probably will never happen to me. Did I make a mistake? Blah, 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 blah. And before we know it, we spiral down that rabbit hole. And actually, today we have for you a surprise. We finally made something happen, and we'll tell you about it a little bit later.
That's gonna hang on, get you hanging on.
Sherry, you're our expert in confidence and,
Expert.
and self-confidence.
I don't know about that.
Well, what can you
Well,
tell us about it?
yeah, so I want you guys to think about when we're talking about self-confidence, obviously everybody that we're broadcasting to, we kind of broadcast, talk a lot about business, being part of Bitch Boss influencers. But I want you to think back to like the first time you were learning to do something. Maybe it was like your first day on the job. Maybe it was, first day of college. It could be maybe the first time you picked up a hobby or a sport. I want you to think about like how you felt when you first started whatever that thing was. Chances are you weren't that good at it, right?
Probably
I know
not.
that yeah, there's some child prodigies out there that, they pick up a basketball and they're amazing. But I want you to think about something that like you had to work hard at. For me, there was several things, but the thing that first popped into my head was I used to do like cross country running when I was younger. I would race all around the state of Utah at different races every Saturday. My parents were driving me everywhere. I would go to state, nationals, regionals, all over the place, all over the country running cross country. When I was younger, it was 2-mile races. And then as I got older, it was the 3-mile races. And then I did track in high school and everything. And I remember when I grew up in Sandy, Utah, which is like a big city for those of you who don't know. It's near Salt Lake. And then when I was 12, we moved down into Podunkville, Utah, where there was nobody. So I went from like racing against kids that were really fast, had been running their whole lives, to I moved down to little Podunkville, Utah, and I was the fastest kid in the school. I beat everybody, including the boys. Like I was just fast and I had endurance, like I could run, right? And I remember there was a kid that he kind of like his when I came in, he was the fastest kid in the school. And when I came in and all of a sudden he was beat by a girl, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you were beat by a girl," right? And it hit his confidence. And I remember he was like, "Man, I suck." And I remember like looking at him and I was like, "You realize I've been running like races and I run every single day, right?" Like I was like trying to like build his confidence up, right? Because I hated that he was like so down on himself because he was beat by a girl. I mean, I guess it would have been 7th graders. Obviously, girl beating a boy, it's going to hit their confidence and their ego, right? But how many times do we do this to ourselves where we start something and we think that we're pretty good, we're getting the groove, and then somebody else comes in out of nowhere and they're a lot better than us, and man, it hits us. And we think, gosh, I suck at this. Why am I even doing this? I'm not going to do this anymore. And we actually like think of quitting because someone happens to be better than us, even though we've been working at it. It's as silly as it sounds that like that kid, obviously that kid wasn't going to say, "Oh, I'm going to quit running," right? But we do that to ourselves, and it's our confidence that does it. But when you think about what's something that you're really good at now, maybe it is your job, maybe it is a sport, maybe it is, it came from doing, from
Mhm.
action, from doing it over and over and over again until it became second nature, right? Like you don't even, what is it? You become
Unconsciously
unconsciously
competent.
competent. Yeah.
Mhm.
You've done it so much, you've become unconsciously competent at it. Starting a new job, like that's another thing that I want to talk about. When you started in your new job, not inside network marketing, not inside entrepreneurship, whatever. If you started a new job, chances are that first day you probably weren't very good and you didn't have like all this amazing confidence. You were probably like thinking like, "Oh my gosh, everybody's watching me." You might have been on a probation period where you could have been fired. You were probably stressed. I know that that's me anytime I start a new job. Anytime I started a new job, I should say, and when I started entrepreneurship. So, what is it right now that you're sitting there and you're thinking, man, if I could just build confidence in this, if I could just be self confident in this? And then, yep, thank you, Fran, unconsciously competent. If I could just be self confident in this, that's what I want you to think about, because as we go about the rest of this episode, we're going to be talking about how you build that confidence, and we can kind of play off the two scenarios that I gave at the beginning.
I have the opposite confidence story. So I used to be the best student in my whole entire school, my whole entire life. School was easy. And it's kind of like became where it was expected. Like no one expected less of me than being excellent, right?
Mhm.
So, and I lived in small town, and if you want to go to college, it's not like here. You have to. It's performance based, and usually competitions like one person gets in out of 20, let's say. That's the competition. It's pretty tough. So, and I had to go to a big city high school to, have exposure to better, I don't know, skills, whatever, education. So I could go to college. So when I got to that high school, which wasn't even easy to get in, like there were some tests you had to pass, blah, blah, blah. So I passed. I got to that high school where all the best kids from all the schools in the region went there. And suddenly, instead of being the best student, I became like one of the like bottom three. And that, hit my self-confidence big time because it's always been easy. I always been the best and everyone saw me that way, and suddenly I became one of the low three students in the subjects that I needed like the most, and I realized that, oh my gosh, my best is not overall best, right? So there is better
Mhm.
academically prepared kids and smarter kids and kids with like who do their homework in freaking 15 minutes and it takes me 4 hours. So I realized actually there that there is a lot of room for improvement and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So what it done to my confidence, I remember after first week, and it was on top of everything, it was boarding school, no friends, no parents, all new environment, all new everything. And I'm like, I'm not the best anymore. I'm like the worst. So I came home after the first week and I said, Mom, I can't do it. Like it's like I can't. Like I suck at
Hard.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teachers are mean, the kids are all like snobby or whatever. And like I'm never gonna go to college. And my grades are like C's, not A's anymore. So yeah, it was tough. It was very tough. So I actually wrote about it in my book. My mom said, well, how about you go one more week and just, suck it up. It's not going to be easy, but you just suck it up. And if after this week it doesn't get better, you can always go back to your school. They will take you like in no time, right? I was like, okay, I can handle 1 week. Like 1 week, that's it. I went preparing that, it will be over in 1 week. Like I just need to suck through these 5 days and then it will be over. And kind of like during this next week, I realized that little by little I can be better. Like every day I can do better. And after that second week, I'm like, you know what? It's not actually that bad. Like, I think I can stick around for longer and see how it goes. So yeah, that's kind of opposite confidence experience than Carrie's. So it and I had to build it up again, right? I
Mhm.
had 2 years to work hard. And also when you communicate with higher level kids who think differently, right? Who act differently, you also get onto that higher level. So it was really, I don't know, hard experience, but worth it. And I built my confidence back up. And actually, I finished high school with silver medal. We have medals there that made
Woohoo!
real, real metal. So, and I wasn't even like, it wasn't even my goal. So it's kind of like, it became easy again. So it's kind of like an honor award that you get. And then if you get either gold or silver medal, to go to college, you only have to pass one exam instead of three. So it was like, I got a easy pass again because of all the hard work. So, anyways, I want Kiri, can you talk a little bit more about like confidence and self confidence? Because in my experience, my confidence levels always were high because of other people praising me and
Mhm.
comparing me to their kids or someone else. And I'm like, oh, I'm a lot better than others, right? That's what they're
Mhm.
telling me. But when it came to my personal understanding of myself, it was always not good enough, right? It was always not perfect, not good enough. You could have done better. Oh, what if someone knows that I'm not good enough?
Mhm.
What if someone finds out that I'm actually a loser?
I love that this kind of plays in and ties to what we talked about last week with imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
because imposter syndrome is when you lack self confidence. And so let's talk about the difference between the two. Confidence, just like Kat described, is when other people are like fueling the confidence itself. Okay. It's outside, outside people, praising you, saying, yes, good job. And it's you looking to others for approval almost, right? So, and I mean, this happens, I mean, when you were first learning to walk, right? As you're first learning to walk, you would fall down and you immediately looked at mom, right? You immediately looked at mom and mom was the one that was like, you took your first step, and she was so excited. And because she was so excited, you were excited to stand up again and keep going. That was your mom pouring confidence into you.
You know how some kids fall down and then they look, no one's looking and they don't cry?
Mhm.
And if someone is watching, they will be like throw a fit that they hurt themselves. It's
Yeah.
also like looking for that attention, for that
Mhm.
approval. Or no
Mhm.
one's watching, then why should I be screaming and crying?
But
Totally gotcha.
it plays into the confidence piece,
Yes.
right? So, when you were little, that was you looking for your mom, and your mom was putting confidence in you, and as your mom put confidence in you, that gave you the bravery, I guess, the courage to stand up and try walking again. But as you started taking a few steps and gaining your balance, all of a sudden you didn't have to look at mom anymore for approval. You suddenly had built self-confidence, and self-confidence is inner. It's your when your inner self knows that you're a badass, knows that you're rocking it. Don't have to look at other people, don't need recognition. You know that in what you're doing a good job. So how do we build that? How do we go from confidence to self-confidence? Well, when we first get started in a job, when we first get started in business, when we first get started in a sport, in anything that we do, we usually look at to other people, right? Like, am I doing it right? I think about when the first time I went to the gym, I was a fish out of water walking into that gym the very first time, and my husband was there with me, and I lacked self-confidence completely. Like, the episode of SpongeBob SquarePants when he's lifting weights and he's like, "I've got these guns," and his muscles go like this.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt as I was in the gym. And I kept, like, looking at my husband. I was like, "I don't know if I'm cut out for this." Like, I would try, like, lifting weights, and he's all like, "Whoa, your form is all wrong," right? Like, but he would also like, "But you're doing great. Like, keep going." And You know, he would pump me up and he'd get me excited to go to the
Give
gym,
you the confidence. Yeah.
building the confidence in me.
You know that many people won't even go to the gym because of that feeling of like,
Mhm.
I don't
Yep,
belong there, I don't fit, I'm overweight.
yep,
Like they won't even go for the first time because that's feeling of low confidence.
yep. So as he built me up and I started like getting comfortable doing the machines, knowing the form that I was supposed to have, all of a sudden I didn't need my husband's confidence, and it came from taking action, doing it. And you know, a lot of times they say practice makes perfect. It's absolutely true, but if you can be intentional, I say intentional practice makes perfect. Because you can just go through the motions and like say, "Oh, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do this," and still not get anywhere. But when you're intentional and intentional in the actions that you take, and then you evaluate those actions as you go. So, throughout, you know, the few weeks, those first few weeks of going to the gym, I was intentionally taking action. I was making sure that my weight was where it was supposed to be. My form was how it was supposed to be. I would ask my husband, you know, to make sure that I was doing things right as I continued going, and I would up weight as I went. And then I was externally verifying the evidence in myself. Were my inches where I wanted to them to be shrinking, right? I don't pay attention to the scale because the scale will lie to you. I'm the heaviest I've ever been and I feel the best I've ever felt because of the gym, mind you. Muscle weighs more than fat. Let's just put that in there. Anyways, you know, and then all of a sudden I didn't need my husband there anymore. I built the self-confidence. It started with my husband having to kind of pour that confidence into me, right? That's where it started from. But through intentional action and evaluation over time, I built that self-confidence muscle. No pun intended. You know, I built that muscle, and that's what we do every day. So I don't know who said this. They said, I lost my confidence. I feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean and I don't know what to do next. Go back to where, like, at one point, you say you lost your confidence. When were you confident? At what point were you confident, self-confident in yourself? And you knew that feeling of, yes, I've got this. Go back to that and channel that feeling. What were you doing every day to have that feeling? Because chances are, at some point in time, you either stopped taking action, maybe life happened, you stopped taking action in whatever it is that you were wanting to move forward with. When I miss the gym for a week or two, I feel it. And sometimes it's real easy to say, "Oh, I'm just not going to go because I know how bad it's going to hurt that next time I get into the gym." But we have to go. And the longer we don't take action, the more lost, the more like a loser you feel.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, when you're building a business or building something new, could be the gym, could be muscle, it could be playing the flute, it could be your
Mhm.
business, it could be whatever, right? You do feel like a fish out of water or like you are a human in the middle of the ocean with no fins, right? Like
Mhm.
and I think one of the main things, and you touched on this, was that to get curious about things around you. Like, get curious about things around you and get curious about what's working. I know for me, when I started building my business online, I was a fish out of water. I didn't know how to work a freaking computer. I couldn't copy and paste, right? I'd sit down at the computer and like work for 21 hours and get like this far in my progress, right? Like little teeny bit inch by inch progress. And I when I would evaluate, I'm like, is this even worth it? Right. And I would get in that drudgery mode where I was like, oh, I hate this because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's so much work to do it, right? But I kept doing it and I became curious about how to do it more effectively, or what to do next, or how to serve that next person, instead of focusing on myself, right? Instead of focusing on what I didn't know, I focused on what I did know and what I could get curious about to learn more. And it changed everything for me in my business. So it's important because you can get stuck in the middle of the ocean and just stay there. You can.
Mhm.
Like, it's very easy to say, I'm not going to go to the gym anymore. I'm done. Like, I'm just not going to do it. I look like a dork. I'm fat or whatever, right? Like,
Yep.
any of those things. So,
I have a good point based on Carrie's gym example. So I don't ever go to the gym. Like It's torture for me. I don't like it. I don't see the point. Like I'm not a workout enthusiast or whatever. I compensate, other ways to stay healthy, but working out, it's just not my thing. I haven't been to the gym maybe in 5 years or maybe longer. I have no idea. Now, if I do have things hanging out of my jeans, like in places where they shouldn't be hanging out, not all perfect, and I'm aware of those things, right? So if I go to the gym now, I'm not gonna feel like an imposter or not confident because a few things. First of all, I'm not comparing myself to others, right? Because I know it's my first time in the gym in like freaking 15 years. So what do you expect? So see how I gave myself that grace
Grace.
and that flag that, hey, you're a newbie here. What do you want? So I'll walk into the gym as a newbie, but I will be a confident newbie because I'm like, okay, show me what's the right things
Show
to
me what I'm
use.
supposed to be
Show
doing.
me like what the right moves. I know I'm gonna look ridiculous, but who cares? See how it's different energy. It's confident energy because I've done a lot of inner work in this area and I know how to pump my own self-confidence just like this on demand, no matter what I'm doing. And actually in Unleash Your Inner Badass course, we have the whole module on self-confidence where I share some of the very simple exercises that you can do anytime you feel like you need more confidence and it works like immediately.
Mhm.
So, and I can give you a little example. Like if you feel like, oh, I can't even walk into the gym because I feel so like a fish out of water, you can play one of those, badass music that's almost like hard rock 5 minutes before you go, like, yeah, yeah, it will raise your energy up, right? You also can do like a posture of champion exercise. Like immediately you're gonna feel like you have more confidence, and you will notice that you will walk into that gym or whatever else maybe you're doing a live video, you will have more inner confidence to do that same activity after those exercises. So anyways, whoever commented, I lost my confidence, I have good news for you. You can never ever 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 lose your inner confidence. It's always with you. So you just need to know how to
Bring
channel
it
it.
out.
You
Mhm.
forgot how it feels because it's been so long since you felt it the last time, but you felt it before, right? And you remember how it feels, and you could channel that feeling even though your bank account is empty, even though your dog just pooped on the floor and you spent 3 weeks potty training it. Real life. So, right? You can still channel that inner confidence from within because we never, never, ever lose it. And I remember the phrase that my and friends mentor says quite often on coaching calls. If you make your God something outside of yourself, for example, oh, when I make more money, I'll be more confident or happier, right? Oh, when I meet that right partner, I will be happier. So when you make something your God, something that affect your inner state that's outside of you, a person, an object, whatever it is, money, life will keep messing with you until you learn how to not make the things outside of you your God. I hope that makes sense. So the good news is you always have your self confidence. You just need to know how to channel it back. First part, it comes internally. Like I said, there's exercises, that things you can do to immediately pump up your confidence. And second part, it comes from practice, from action, from doing the thing that you feel not confident doing. So, very simple. And shall we guys share about our good news?
Oh, absolutely. We've been working on this for a while.
For those who feel like what we're talking about resonates with you and you're struggling with certain things that holding you back, that making your life not where you want it to be, we have an amazing course for you that we put together that's called Unleash your inner badass. I think there's 7 or 8 modules in there, and we go in details how to work on these
It's like
things.
35 lessons, like
Yeah,
35 actual videos, I think. So
yeah. So up until
It's
today,
worksheets.
it's worksheets and practical. It's all practical. It's not
All
like, oh,
practical.
just think positive thoughts and you'll be fine, right? That bullshit doesn't work.
No.
So how to actually, how to cultivate those positive thoughts in the first place? Where would they come from, right? If nothing positive is happening. So up until this point, this course was only available to our 7-figure influencer students, but now we made it available to everyone else. But we want it to be very special, intimate experience, and spots are very limited. So it's a by application only process. So what does it mean? We're gonna share a link. This
she's
is
sick. Oh, she's not
application
here.
link. You answer questions, and based on what you answer, we're gonna decide whether this program is a fit for you or not. And you might be approved to be a part of this opportunity. So, and we will send you email telling you if you've been approved or not, and how you can become a part of this brand new experience and community that we creating as we speak. So I'm super excited about it. So we want to know what areas of your life you feel like you could have had more self-confidence. Because actually, I'll share one more thing. I had a huge aha moment. I don't know where I heard it or where. Do you notice that good girls tend to be attracted to bad boys?
Yes.
Do you know what that is? What's that attraction thing? Why good girls attracted to bad boys?
Oh, funny.
Confidence.
'Cause bad
Like
boys have
bad
confidence.
boys have that confident energy that attracts girls to them, because when you feel that
Charisma.
they're confident, you feel that security. That's all what women actually want from men when we're
Yeah,
looking for a
they
partner.
want
On
security.
unsubconscious level, we look for security, whether it's financial security, whether he can punch someone in the face protecting you, whether right? So that bad boys have that confidence, which is a lot of time we don't know is false confidence, but we're not going to talk about that false confidence. And that's when you cover your insecurities with that overcompensative cockiness or whatever, arrogance, right? But it
Mhm.
still creates that attractive, confident energy. So, but when the confidence is genuine, not the false one, it's very magnetic force. Very It attracts people to you. It attracts money to you. It attracts opportunities to you. I would say confidence, that's the energy foundation of the energy of attraction. So if you working on anyways on your law of attraction, we probably all been there, right, at some point, and read something or watched something and wondered, does it really works? What am we going to tell you that it really does? And self-confidence, it's one of the core foundations that goes into that. So if you master your confidence, you will start attracting more things that you desire in life, because that's magnetic energy. And that's why, you know, we attract people and everything else. Just like bad boys attract good girls from their confidence. You can do the same thing with everything else. So I hope that makes sense.
Awesome. I know there's a few things you can do to just boost your confidence, like to get in the habit of being in that state. And one of them is like getting some dopamine. So think about, how do
Mhm.
you get dopamine, right? And you can get dopamine by a lot of ways. One of them is sunshine. So that's a really great way to get some dopamine. Another one is to have sex. So that's a really great way to get some dopamine.
Good
And
sex.
there's just different things. Yeah, there's different
I'm
things
just
that you can do.
average sex.
Yeah, you gotta have good sex. You gotta have good sex for that, definitely. But let me just pull up this list because I actually was just studying this. I can find it.
There's certain foods can boost your
Yeah, certain
dopamine.
foods that you can do.
Supplements,
Exercise.
definitely.
Exercise is definitely, you can get dopamine that way.
Yep.
What did I do with it? I'll have to find it and post it below. But yeah, there's a bunch of different things. Self-care is one of the things, you can get some dopamine. And a lot of us is we get where we are feel guilty about that, right? Like even going to the gym, I'm sure Carrie's felt like this. I know I've felt like this when I'm working out. I'm like, man, I should be, right? That's the word I was using. I should be, spending time with my kids, or I should be cleaning the house, or I should be working, or I should be this, or I should be that, right? And that's a dopamine sucker. So definitely lose the should be's and focus on, getting things done that makes sense for you. If Carrie doesn't go to the gym, it's a snowball effect on her family moving forward, right? Like, and she knows that because she's tested it. So she knows if she doesn't go to the gym, then no one else is happy around her. Kat, same thing, right? Kat loves to travel. So if she doesn't get her travel in, she's a very grumpy cat. She needs to have her dopamine
It
fixed
probably
in.
has something to do with sunshine because
Yeah,
you
it's
want
got
to
a
go to
lot to do
those
with
places
sunshine.
with beach and sand and sunshine, and that's probably what boosts our dopamine.
Yeah, so that you can look up like how you get dopamine, but exercise is a great one. I don't know what I've done with that list, but I'll have to post it below so you guys have it. But anyway, it's sex, it's different kinds of foods. Chocolate will give you some dopamine, but don't be eating the
And
nasty kind.
diabetes.
And diabetes all at the same time, right? So, taking a bubble bath and spending some time doing what you love. Music, like Kat was saying earlier, will give you some dopamine. And I know a lot of this stuff, just dancing in the kitchen, like my kids and I do that sometimes. And
Oh,
like
movement,
it's
definitely.
fun moving your body,
Yeah.
playing your favorite songs and just like going for it, right? And you got to get out of that somebody's looking at me, or this is dumb, or I should be more of an adult, right? Like you're missing the fun, and that's where the dopamine comes from. So get you some dopamine fix and build your self-confidence. It's almost like when you do that, your magnetic energy comes out, right? But you can't have magnetic energy without pouring into yourself first.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you've got to have that magnetic energy put into you,
You
whether
have to
that's
fill
from
up your
someone
cup
else,
first.
sunshine,
Yeah.
yourself, music, sex, good sex.
Yes.
Life's too short. Life's
Not
too
bad
short.
sex.
Life's too short for fake orgasms and bad food, or what's the words? Somebody says that a lot, but it's funny.
Or fake
Yeah.
until you make it.
Yeah.
Life's too short for that.
Life's too short.
Well, I hope some of you guys will grab this opportunity and fill out applications, and
Yes.
maybe some of you will be accepted.
Yeah, and work on your self-confidence this week. It's just becoming aware
Yeah.
of where you're at and kind of what you're missing as far as self-confidence or confidence. Even just becoming aware which one's which, right? Like that's really an important step
yeah,
as well. So
definitely.
Yep.
cool.
All
And
right,
go have some good sex, I guess.
everyone.
Your homework.
Homework. To go have some good sex, friend.
Awesome. So we'll see you guys next week. I think it's gonna be Friday again, like today. And
Next week, no,
because
it's
of
not. It's
no.
going to be
next level
Thursday.
workshop.
Good. It's a good day. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
next week
Thursday
is
next week.
Thursday.
Yes.
9 Mountain, 11 Eastern.
Yep.
10 Central.
10 Central on the 20th
Awesome.
of April.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good week, guys.
See you later.